I would say ranked has traditionally not been my favorite game mode, but I was getting a little bored with tier 10 and I wanted to give it a go just to mix things up a little bit. And here's my first game playing ranked in a very, very long time, and I decided to take out Florida since it is tier 7 and tier 6, at least in Bronze League, and the Florida's really good. I hadn't played it in a very long time, but for those of you who remember when this ship came out, I really, really liked it. You're a North Carolina with lower caliber guns, but you retain really good accuracy and, well, you get 12 guns. So a ship like this, catching people's broadsides, tends to go really, really well. So that's why I've decided to flank here. And something that I've forgot about in ranked is how much fun it can be playing these somewhat higher tier ships in the low tier maps. It's so much fun having this. I think this is Big Race, I think is the map called. It's a really, really fun map, and I've had it a couple times already playing ranked, and it's been fun every time. These islands promote really close combat gameplay and allow for destroyers to sneak up on you, and there's a lot of fun ways of playing the game. It also allows for nice crossfires as we get our first kill here. But we're pushing into a Flint and a Leon, so this is going to be a little rough. At least we can bounce the Leon's AP since he doesn't actually overmatch 25 millimeters. The Mutsu, on the other hand, will, and we're going to take some serious pain coming up. But this Leon gets surprised again. That's kind of just back-to-back 18-ish thousand damage salvos on a French battleship, which I'd say is pretty rare given their trolley broadside armor. So I'm pretty happy with the way this has turned out so far. However, we are just going to get tortured here a little bit by the Flint spamming HE over this island. There's really not much I can do to him since he's protecting his citadel quite well. But I think he gets a little nervous since he's spotted in his smoke and decides to back off. So we get a little bit lucky there for sure. And of course, I'm always looking for those cross shots. That's one of my favorite parts about playing these battleships with longer range, is getting those Dev Strike type salvos across the map on broadside targets. So, of course, the Florida is really, really good at that. Bow tanking a Mutsu, though, it's not very good at all. If you're wondering and thinking about picking this ship up, just know that it is mainly a long-range AP threat. I don't really find the high explosive particularly good since it's got relatively low damage and fire chance. So really trying to get those broadsides is what we're looking for. And of course, if somebody just turns out broadside at 6 kilometers, well, we'll take that. Bronze League, of course, is the first starter league, so I don't expect the games to last particularly long. In fact, the second or third game that I played in this league, all 3 of my destroyers on my team actually died in the first 3 minutes of the match. So these are fast, fun games, right? So it's important to keep that in mind so that you don't get tilted. Or at least for me, that's important to keep in mind so I don't get tilted. Try and just enjoy the games for what they are. Chaotic, small, random battle type games. That's essentially what I'm going for here. The Flint decides to poke out again. We don't have the best acceleration. You're going to see how slow we are to stop and then start again. Flint, of course, has some pretty scary torpedoes that we want to avoid, but he's within his smoke fire range, so we're going to keep him lit just from him firing like this. And, well, that's a broadside light cruiser at 4 kilometers. We all know what's going to happen here, right? Right? We all know that that's just 5 overpens. How many of you were expecting a depth strike there? Oh, it's so disappointing. But we do dodge the torpedoes, which is really, really nice. And we're relatively protected from the Mutsu. So I don't really see much need in pushing at the moment. And that's kind of difficult. As many of you know, I really do enjoy pushing in, brawling, and getting into close range. So it's tough for me to be patient, but it is certainly the right play here. I'm also keeping my guns trained on the Flint, hoping that if he pops out again, we might get a little better salvo into him. And again, trying for those cross maps. This Flint plays actually pretty well, considering he waited for me to shoot and then opened up with the HE. But with that salvo, we pick up our third kill and a high caliber here. And now there's only 3 enemies left. I'm concerned about the destroyer. I've been sitting on an island that's relatively open to the torpedo lanes that Mahan would have. So I'm a little concerned about Torp's Covenants. That's why I'm just going to back up and angle. It's really important I don't eat a Torp here since Florida doesn't handle that particularly well. Back to this ship, though, if you're looking for it, it's got a gigantic citadel. It's not just a North Carolina at tier 7 with slightly different guns and worse armor. They've actually raised the citadel up out of the water, and that's the real weakness, especially against these overmatching battleships. At really any angle, you're going to get citadeled. If you show enough broadside, obviously you're going to take citadels there, but if you go bow in, the bow is so easy to pen as well that you're just going to eat citadels there as well. So that's why I don't really want to push out onto this Mutsu. Even though he's a tier lower, I am scared of that overmatch. I've had enough dev strikes through my nose in the Florida to be a little bit afraid of anything that overmatches 25 millimeters, which is most of the battleships you're going to be fighting. The Flint, a little distracted, does poke out, and we snag our 4th kill. And now it's just up to us to kill this Mutsu. I don't really have much hope of killing the Mahan, but to get our Kraken, we have to kill the Mutsu here. So we're going to push out and take the risk, because he could very well kill us with just 2-3 shells if he gets the right kind of salvo. So getting spotted a little early around this island, fair enough, pretty big ship, but it does ruin our surprise just a little bit. But 90k damage, nice little push into the cap, contesting and holding. That is going to be our Kraken Unleashed. And in my first game back into ranked, we get a nice win. So that is, I think, probably one of my best results in ranked. It is the lowest league though, so it's not going to be necessarily the toughest competition, but for those that have played Gold, they probably know that there's not always the best players in Gold League either. So I'm pretty happy with this result, and because of that, I'm probably going to keep playing some Ranked, since this low tier, small map kind of thing is a lot of fun for me. For the build here, I am just using a very standard Battleship build. I'm trying to get Adrenaline Rush, I'm using as much healing as possible. This is more of my tanking kind of build on, I think, my Montana. Yeah, this is my Monty Commander. I'm messing around with improved repair party readiness on Montana simply because the improved healing helps deal with those fires, and I don't find I'm actually able to use all of my heals to their maximum, since the fire damage really is the only way to get through them. Getting full pens in Montana reduces the effectiveness of each heal, because you can only heal back a certain portion. So that's why I'm messing around with this. But honestly, a standard build probably just runs basics of survivability. I just like fiddling and messing with things, trying to see how some of these skills work. But this is what I would recommend. I like having the gun feeder, the improved one on the American battleships. It's really nice to swap to the HE, at least with ships that have better HE than the Florida. And grease the gears is always useful. So that's what I would start with, and probably run basic survivability instead, at least on a Florida, and probably most of the other battleships. Upgrades, pretty standard. Florida's actually got surprisingly good AA, so I'm trying to maximize that with the defensive fire. And I like range, since the range is a little lacking on Florida. But that's going to be the ship, and that's going to be my first game back in ranked. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.